Cool. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to order the right wheel sizes to make sure that we don't have this kind of crazy poke that I don't like. Right, so let's just set this up here and show you what the story is. Yeah. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to use a square with a spirit level on it. And what I like doing is getting a bit of just loose-sided tape, whatever. I'm going to mark it on this side predominantly. Yeah. And then I'm going to, what am I going to do? I've got to think about what I'm doing here. So I'm going to push this up against the square up against the tyre, or the in your case you might have the tyre protrude, you might have the wheel protrude, whatever. But you want to get that square. Oops, so while I'm doing it, get the texture out as well. Alright, so the bubble goes nice and centre. Yep. And now we'll mark it on where this is on the tape. Okay. So that tells me how much distance it is. Okay. And for the sake of it, let's just give you a measure. Now, because of the way this is designed, I have to put something against it to make it square. And I can see, should have put my glasses on, that 12 mil, right? Not sure if you can see that, 12 mil, which is kind of in line with what I tend to see on spacer videos, right? 12, 15, but at the same time I've seen people put 15s all around and put 18s front, 12, 15 rears, etc, etc. But I want to get it how I want to get it, right? So I'll do the same for the front, and I'll come back to you with measurements, and then we'll work out in terms of, okay, well that's the poke till it's flush in line with my guard. How then do we work out, you know what, let's just for your benefit and mine, not just yours, let's do the front. Let's just do the front. Let's do it again, exactly what we did before. Put it up there square, get my texture ready. Okay, make sure that it is, bubble is center, and just double check everything. First and foremost, make sure it's center of the wheel. Yep. Make sure it's center of the bubble. And I'm pretty happy with that as being correct weight. And again, I'm going to look at how far this is off. Oops, hopefully you can see all this while I'm stuffing around. $15, 12 and 15. As I said, pretty common that I see 15s and 15s at the front, 12 at the rear spaces, but you got to check it yourself because it could be different. It even comes down to the fact that, you know, these Michelin Pilot Sport 4S's have a slightly smaller lip than the P0s. I was lucky enough to win the tyre lottery. Happy days. But yeah, now the next thing is, one of the things I find with this car out of the factory is the rears are mildly under-tired. Right, now my theory is if I get the wheels to poke correctly, I don't need to go a bigger tyre. I go a bigger tyre, yeah, okay, it looks nice, but as long as the poke's right and it looks, and the stance looks wider, I don't really see the need to go 285s, 295s or whatever, and then 305s at the rears and all that kind of stuff. So now it's a case of if I stick with the 285s at the front, sorry, 275s at the front, the 285s at the rear, or whatever it is, 275, 35s at the front, and the rears are 285, 30, 20s. Do I? Let's look. It's mildly undertired, right? And the reason why I don't like undertired in that car, the M340i you've seen previously, is heavily undertired, which really annoys the crap out of me. Is that, you know, if I do come up to a gutter, I'd rather it hit the tyre than hit the rim, right? Because this lip, this mild bead, is protecting nothing. So I'm now going to show you on the computer what it looks like as undertired versus mildly overtired, and then how do we adjust that to get the right poke. Cool. Okay, so the first thing I like to do is go to wheel-sizer.com to check out the size of my original wheels. Mine is here, 275 35 19 stock, 285 3070 with 9.5 inch front with the ET20s, that's ET's your poke, and 10.5 the rear with, again, ET20s. Again, you can just basically look at what your wheel is, your make, your model, all that kind of stuff. But I have a G82 M4, so that's my size. Next, I want to go and try. So I've actually got this. So there's another website. Actually, no, before that, I want to go back to actually checking out the specifications. It's pretty important because, I mean, you can go through all this cost and effort and then find out that what you're actually running is an illegal setup. Right, so for me, based in Victoria, Australia, I've downloaded the local rules here, which is Vic Roads. Right, you'll find that certainly in Australia, this is pretty persistent across the board. They're pretty strict on things like spaces and stuff like that. So you go to the wheels and tyres page, which is somewhere here. Yep, so page 7 down the bottom. And it clearly states over here, down the bottom here, that the width of any replacement rim can't be greater than 25 mil. So being if I have a 10.5 inch rim on the rear, I can't go more than 11.5. Okay. And you can read on to all this kind of stuff. The other one is the actual tyre or the total diameter can't be greater than 15 mil. So that's something, and also smaller than 15 mil. So we'll talk about that when I pull up some websites, but that's pretty important. I can't go wider than 25 mil. I can't go higher in diameter or lower in diameter than 15 mil out of what the factory was, right? Make sure you read through the whole lot, but if you care, but I do, because I'm not spending thousands of dollars on wheels and going through all this effort just to be, you know, have my car taken off the road, and again, cops are never going to notice it. They don't care. But what I do care is if the car's unroadworthy and the insurance company denies my claim. That's all I care about. All of this is based on keep it legal, and I'm not going to get dramas from insurance companies. Here's another one that's a real annoyance. Spaces between wheel and hub are not permitted unless it's provided by the vehicle manufacturer. So in my case, on my M4, they never came out with spaces, so therefore it's illegal. Which is the whole purpose of why I'm doing what I'm doing. I have to go and order a new set of wheels just to get the poke right, as opposed to just being able to put spaces on, which would be a hell of a lot easier. Albeit there are issues with putting spaces on. You know, technically, are they? You know, can they cause issues, particularly if you're giving the car a decent thrashing, etc. Are they going to stand up to all that? So for me, 3 takeaways for you. I can't go more than an inch wider on front or rear rim. Again, remembering that the fronts, let's pull up again, the fronts were 9.5, the rears so were 10.5. So I can't go greater than 10.5 at the front, and I can't go greater than 11.5-inch rims at the rear. I also can't go higher or lower than 15mm off standard spec, and I'm not allowed to space this. They're the three takeaways that I want to talk to you here. There could be more that affect you, and you need to read that, right? And again, for this particular thing, maybe I might link it in there, but just go to the Vic Road site and you can check out guide for modifications. And there's also another one that again, I'll probably try to link in for you, but this vehicle standards information is also important. There's a lot of information that you will want out of this as well, right? But for now, that's enough. Just checking my desktop, it's terrible. So where was I? There's a couple of things when you're ordering rims. These are other things that you need to take to the wheel manufacturer. The center bore size, so 66.5. The PCD or bolt pattern is 5 by 112. You need to tell them the thread size, even though they'll probably know that. But they're the key information. Obviously, you need to give them the wheel size that you're ordering and the ET, which again is the poke. All right. So I use a website called willtheyfit.com, and I am showing you exactly what I'm trying to do from a wheel poke perspective. So the stock standard for the fronts is 275/35 by 19s with a 9.5-inch rim with a 20mm offset. Now, if you remember, I want to get up to a 15mm poke. I say up to because that depends on you. It depends on how low your car is, so whether it's going to rub, and whether you want any rubbing at all. Because, I've seen online that if you go to 15s, there's potential rubbing, especially when you're turning corners. Obviously not when you're driving straight and all that kind of stuff, but there's potential rubbing as you corner it. Do I want that? Probably not. I mean, if I can take away, a minimum of 3/4 of that poke away, then I'm happy. Let's cover quick things. Before I spoke to you about what the diameter was. So because I'm not changing the wheel size, the diameter from the existing to the new is the same. So I'm not going greater than 20 or lower, sorry, 15, wasn't it? Well, I'm not going greater than 15mm or lower than 15mm. And I'll give you an example. If I was to change this to, say, 285s, press calculate, you'll see that that's gone up by 7mm, right? I go to 305s, and I'm now well outside the 15mm. Like the most I can go is 690, right? But I'm not going to 305s, right? I'm going to keep it the same. So happy days. I don't have to worry about that. I also don't have to worry about the front to rear, percentage. Like with an X drive, you want to stay within 1% of the offset, right? I hope you know what that means. If you don't, reach out to me and I'll explain that to you. But basically, the ratio between front to rear has to be less than 1% because it's an X drive. Less so with a rear wheel drive only, but you have to be within 1% of the fronts to rears on an X drive. I'm not changing that. I'm just showing you how this is going to get done. So it starts. So my stock setup is this existing setup, and I want to look at what my new setup is. I'm keeping the same size tires. I'm keeping the same size rim. The only thing I'm changing when I order it is my offset. This is typically measured in mil, right? So if I change this by a number of, I'm going to get a mil difference. So if I wanted to go straight to 15 at the front and get that full poke, I could just dial in 5, right? I dial in 5, and this will show me the original the original rim, the orange. And you can see the orange rim with the ET poke 20 is closer to the strut, and so therefore poked into the guard. By going to his 5, my whole wheel pushes out by 15 mil, and so therefore in line with the guard if it was there. And if you look at here, it'll even tell you that. Compared to the existing wheel, right, it will poke out on the inner side, it'll be pushed out on the inner rim 15 mil here, as well as 15 mil there. So keeping the same wheel and tyre setup, all I need to do is change the offset. So I could happily go to the wheel manufacturer and say, hey mate, I want 19 by 9.5 with an ET of 5 mil, and I want a PCD of 5 by 112 and a center bore 66.5, and these are my thread sizes. And I've just got, potentially, if this is what you want, the perfect wheel size that'll give me completely flush. Yeah? Front wheel done. Now, I'm going to go to 10.5 to show you what this looks like. Let's go up by half, right? Calculate that. And if you look at this, what do I want to do? I'm going to bring this back to 20. I just want to show you what this looks like. This is my existing setup, and I've called it my new setup now. I just want to show you, when I was outside and I was talking about being undertied, you will see that the rim is, I'm not saying the rim, but the tyre is slightly under the width of that rim, which I don't like. Right? I don't like it. If I'm going to get a chance to pick a new wheel, maybe I'll look at what let me just put this to, I'm going to, just for argument's sake, I'm going to put this to 10, right, just so you can see what it looks like. Where the tyre on the outside is greater than the rim, which is my preference. It may not be your preference, right? But as I said before, if I pull up to a gutter and I'm close, I'd rather the gutter hit my tyre than my rim. Because if it's under-tired, which it was previously, it's going to hit the rim. Trust me on that one, right? So first and foremost is I now am no longer under-tired. And I want to bring in to make it flush, I want to bring it 12 mil. But remember, I've taken off, I've basically reduced the wheel width by half. So I'll start at 12. No, what am I saying? I said I want 12 mil. So I'll start at 8 to see what this looks like. And that tells me that the wheel rim is getting pushed out because I'm, half an inch narrower in rim by 18.5, and that my poke is close to 6, but I need 12. Right, I need 12, which means I need to reduce this by another 6. I'm going to go at 3. I want to see what this looks like. 10.5. I can really go down to 2. Yeah. So now all of a sudden, this sticks out, this from the inner, away from the strut, which is not a problem for me. It's 24 mil away from the strut, and it's also 12 mil further out and flush in line with the guard. Right. I haven't changed the tyres, the diameter is the same, so I'm happy about that. Theoretically, I've gone to a smaller tyre, which means I'm not under-tired, smaller rim, so I'm not under-tired, and I've now catered for the 12 mil poke that I needed at the rear. I've got 15 at the front, I got just under 12 at the rear. To me, that will be perfect if I wanted it to be flush, but I'm also a little bit reserved, and I might pull that in a couple of mil, just because I don't want to have to, clean up the inner guards and all that kind of stuff, or have it rub when I'm turning. Now my car's not super low, so it probably wouldn't happen. But I'm telling you, if you're looking at the car, if you're looking down the side of the car, you're not going to really see 2 mil. You're just not. And it kind of gives me a bit of scope if I wanted to go up an extra 10 mil front and rear. You know what I mean? So I hope that helps. That's how I calculate wheel sizes. I go. You saw the process of how I actually measure what I believe to be the exact way to do the correct poke requirement. I do start off with making sure that it's legal, and I'm not going to have any dramas with insurance. Again, that's all I care about. Cops aren't going to care. Certainly not here. But the fact that it's good with insurance, the cop's going to love it anyway, so all good. Check out what your factory wheels are. Make sure you get the right one, because you can see there are 4 different options. Go to willtheyfit.com and do your calcs, make sure it fits, and you can decide whether or not you want to go a bigger rim. I can go down an inch, or I can go up to 11.5 inches and then deal with my offset. Anyway, hope that helps. I'm sticking with this. Peace.